Welcome to the Your Family Dog podcast, where we celebrate the special bond between families and their canine companions. Our goal is to help families and dogs grow up together, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the Your Family Dog podcast. Today, I am joined by my new friend, Melissa McCue-McGrath, who is the author of the much awaited Misadventures of the World's Okayest Dog Trainer, which I cannot wait to get my hands on because this sounds like it's completely up my alley. We have been chatting here while we were getting ready to start the podcast, and I was like, yeah, so we're friends now. So, welcome to the show. How are you, Melissa?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Yay.
And today we wanted to talk kids and dogs.
Mhm.
And I really think that the changes in how um, kids were parented when I was young, like my generation was the generation where at 10 o'clock, the news had to remind parents to figure out where their kids were. We were talking about that in dog class today, right? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? My mom was like, they're probably around here somewhere.
Right.
Versus like today's parents, where here locally, we just had someone charged for allowing their child to walk 2 blocks to school at 10 years of age
Oh,
with friends,
oh dear.
right? Kind of weird. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
why are we charging this person? Um, we
just put an
we are
air
not
tag on the kid and you'll be fine.
put it in their book bag. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not far from all of us being tracked. And also how training in dogs has really changed, right? You and I are of an age where dominance theory was like a big old thing.
hmm
And I was telling Melissa that this weekend I am trying to fit in clients. Actually, I see them at 4 o'clock today. That two trainers have recommended a shock collar on a 12-week-old puppy. That's weeks old puppy, over resource guarding. Instead of helping that puppy feel safe and more comfortable and just fix it, they're trying apparently to make it worse. So
Yeah.
I see that continuum of kind of how we parented has really changed, and
Yes.
how we're raising our dogs, it is my fervent prayer, will really change, and that there will be less of that conflict of the dog is doing behaviors at you.
hmm hmm
Are you seeing that in Maine? Are you seeing an adjustment?
We are. And what's really interesting, so like the book actually covers like the overarching story thread is that change from like the 80s when I was born, we started getting our first dogs, all the way through up moving back to Maine 5 years ago. And seeing this change when I was a kid, I affectionately called it an accidental sled dog family, because my dad was friends with this guy, Jack, who we were talking just before the show, like the hat with the buffalo plaid and
Right.
the
The
Elmer
ear
Fudd hat.
flaps.
This guy is a walking embodiment of that hat.
I love that.
His name was Jack, and his dream was to run the Iditarod. And so my dad and I and my brother and sister, we would go and take care of the B team of Huskies while he would take his A team and try to qualify for the Iditarod. He runs the race, comes back, gives my father 10 dogs, goes to Florida, and we've never heard from him again. It has been 38 years. I'm pretty sure he's either in witness protection or something else happened. So Jackson, Florida, being like living his Jimmy Buffett lifestyle now, probably never wants to be cold again. And we had these 10 Huskies that were working Huskies. A couple of them ran the freaking Iditarod. And my dad was a gentleman who, or is, he's still with us, um, was a corrections officer at a state prison and taught weapons at West Point. He was very much
Hospital
that.
corners.
Yes. He was.
Huskies don't believe in corners.
No, 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 no. Nope. And
No.
so they don't believe in fetch either, it turns
And
out.
they also think it's funny to bust your chops.
Oh, they do. But
We
they
had
all,
one at the store the other day that the family had checked out, right? They had
Mhm.
paid their money, they had done all the things, and the husky didn't want to leave the pet store.
So he wasn't going to leave.
So he threw himself down at the register and just carried on
Yeah.
like a petulant temper tantrum child for like 20 minutes. And
They
the
are
owner's
so
just
dramatic.
like, could we please?
They are
It
the
was
most
hysterical.
dramatic.
And they're like, we're so
Beast.
sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. We're all delighting in this because we don't live with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had 10 of them.
Well, that's fun.
Well, in
The
the
first husky clients I had, they had a split foyer. And
hmm,
when I arrived for the private lesson, I knocked on the front door and the owner, the handler yelled, "Come on in. The dog's in the backyard. Make yourself at home. I just got out of the shower." Like she had just got, like all mamas,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Was running behind. And so I go up the split foyer and sit down on the sofa. And split foyers have those cathedral ceilings.
Yeah.
And while I was sitting on the sofa, I'm just looking around and I notice footprints where the
What?
wall meets the ceiling,
What?
dog footprints. Yeah. When she let that sweet boy in, he was like Ricochet Rabbit through the room.
He was a
Like
pogo
I
stick
was
dog.
just sitting there hoping I wouldn't get trampled. It
That's all
was
you can do.
it was hysterical. And he was so happy. He was
Oh
just
my God.
happy people were visiting.
Oh,
And I was like, yes, this is not, no, not the breed for me. I love them. I think they're hysterically fun. I enjoy teaching them.
yes.
But I no, I do not want to live with one of those.
Yeah, we are not going to be a husky household. It my personal choice. But they were treated as like outdoor working dogs because
Right,
that's what they so for their entire life they were tethered to a chain, tied to a tree. Each of them had their own tree because Maine. But even when they retired, there was no bringing them in. There was no this, there was no that. And there was this overall feeling of if they're too loud, if they're howling, because they're huskies, this is what they
right.
do.
They're going to be loud.
They are loud. If they're that, then I was 7, given a stick, like a big stick, not to hit the dogs with, but to hit the roof of their house to make them be quiet, which was not great. And even in watching my dad alpha roll them and then having him tell us, like, again, 7, so I could been what, 45 pounds rolling a dog on its back that's the same weight I am. So it's not surprising that I suffered a level 5 bite at 7. Not surprising at all. And then going
Yeah.
all the way through, like moving away to college and working in animal behavior and getting my degree and all of this other stuff. And then spending 20 years in Boston. I jokingly say I did time in Boston, but it's like I just lived and worked there. Wasn't in jail, but it kind of sometimes felt like it was.
It, I'm originally from upstate New York. I was
Yes.
born and raised in Lockport, New York. And when I go home,
Yeah.
it's going home and I love it.
Yeah.
But I also think like, wow, this weather kind of creates hard people
It does. It
sometimes,
does. And for I mean, like as we were saying before, like you can't plant until mid-April. I have to wait until almost June
right?
because like seasons are rough here and they're harsh. Um, and so when I moved back to Maine in 21, I was like, am I going to be able to find work there as a positive reinforcement dog trainer and a voice in positive reinforcement training here in New England? Like, how how am I going to square this circle? Um, and then once I got here, I'm like, oh, I was hired by an animal welfare society that's all positive reinforcement, that they pay their employees, which was great. That was something that I wasn't seeing in Boston quite the same way. And I'm like, this is actually changed. I was so surprised to see Mainers seeking out this type of training because my experience with it 20 years, 30 years, 40 years prior was very different. And it is encouraging, but we're not there yet. Like next town over, you get the yanking crink trainers and you got the shock collar people and they exist. But the fact that this is a choice that people can make now that they didn't have that option in the
Right.
90s or the 80s.
Or the 70s. Like there was no, I mean, I grew up, near Cornell. It's
Yeah,
not as
yeah,
if I didn't know some animal behaviorists.
yeah.
And it still, like, positive meant you had a prong collar and a cookie.
Yeah,
Like it,
yeah,
and I still think sometimes people think that like training using operant methods is traditional obedience at a cookie. And I'm like, that's not actually like that's a
yeah,
really weak, kind of gross
yeah,
version compared to the real power of classical conditioning, operant conditioning, all of that.
yeah. And knowing how it works. And
Yes, and that it works with our kids too. Like
yes.
I like it when because I can say to someone, if you wouldn't do it to a toddler, don't do it to your dog, right? We
Right.
don't alpha roll our toddlers. We might consider it.
But
On a
there
bad day, we might
are
think
so
about
many days where it's like, that's a window. And I know the word defenestration, like, but
it.
we never would do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember the first time I said to my daughter, I need some thinking time
Mhm.
because
You did.
I don't look good in orange.
Yeah.
So, um, and so like behaviors can just be frustrating.
Hmm.
I think um do trying to navigate it a positive way is not the way the human brain immediately jumps to, right?
No.
I think we like to quash behavior, but I do love that we're getting to a place where children are getting more agency, parents
Yes.
and grandparents are getting more agency, and our dogs and cats are getting more agency because I think it's all
Agreed.
just safer. Now
It
that
is.
it doesn't mean permissive. And that's the other side, right? Like I grew up, I'm a crossover trainer.
Hmm.
I grew up with shock and well, not shock. We never did shock, but we did prong collars, we did choke chains,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like all that stuff. I do think a dog and a child both can hear no. I hear no all day long. Like society's going to tell me no about stuff and I roll with it.
Yeah.
So, but it's not permissive.
Yeah. There are
It's
boundaries.
right. We have real boundaries, but we're not waiting until things are so far sideways that there's a bite to
Right.
intervene and to try to make things better.
Right. Exactly. Like we're setting up parameters within positive reinforcement dog training. It's not that you're not using the other quadrants. What I
Right.
try to explain to people, what I had to eventually try to explain to my dad is that like we still use punishment sort of, but it's different. It's not like using pain to train. It's, oh, you're not able to jump on this person, so I'm going to walk you away from it. You don't get to say hi to that person. So it's what the
Right.
definition of punishment is like, and in an
Right.
obedience
It's
centric
like I'll give you a
environment.
dollar if you clean your
Yes.
room. And if you decide not to clean your room, you don't still get the dollar.
Right. Or I'm taking your iPad away, kid, like you abuse your privileges. Like there are
Right.
still rules. I don't have to hit anyone to get compliance.
Right. I don't have to scare anyone. I don't have to hurt them
Right.
to mean what I say.
Exactly.
I
And
do think it's a lot more work. Um, if we were to be candid, you have to be more creative,
mhm, yeah,
and you have to have a lot of patience,
yes.
which our world doesn't always, sometimes it beats patience out of us. So
Yeah.
I do try to give families strategies like sit down and make a list of consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit down and make a list of management options and then
Hmm.
teach your kids and your dogs the management options.
Right. And also making sure that they know what they can do. So when you're dealing with kids and dogs, like it's so important to have appropriate outlets for that kid and dog to interact in a safe way. We were talking just before the show that like I was the victim of a level 5 dog bite when I was a child. And my dad, I will say, even though like things were very different in the 80s, like, and I never should have been in a position, neither should have the dog, in a position where he had to bite me and where I was in that position to be bitten. Like that on the table, that was of its time. Um, but there was never any guidance as to how I could, like, I loved this dog, or I thought I loved this dog, but we didn't know how to read this dog.
Right.
And
There wasn't the same curiosity.
it wasn't. It was like, I love you, but I'm loving at you instead of doing something with you,
Well, and
dog.
like the
And
difference between, Jen Schrack talks
oh,
about this a lot.
yes.
The difference between a resident dog, a dog that lives on the property,
Mhm.
and a family dog, the dog that lives with a family.
Yeah.
Those are two very different things. For
They
example,
are.
my practice, I do not work with resident dogs. I work
Right.
with family dogs. So if someone has a resident dog that they would like to make a family dog, I will joyfully love them through that process because it's a process.
It's a long process, but yes.
Right. There are a lot of pieces.
Hmm.
And honestly, most of those dogs are so unfamiliar and feel so much pressure being in a home
Yeah.
that you have to equip them and I don't know, take field trips into the
Yeah.
house to learn house manners so that they know how to navigate it.
Or even just the sounds in their environment, like a dishwasher going on, or seeing their reflection in a glass window, or seeing, like, hearing the electricity in the walls. Like, these are all things that they are not familiar with, generally speaking, and have to acclimate to. And they've missed that socialization period. So you got to go slow. It's like trying to learn Spanish or a foreign language as an American long past your teenage years, and you're just like, I'm just going to pick up Irish Gaelic like in my 40s. That's going to take so much longer than had I grown up with that language, which I have not. And that Duolingo owl is mocking me every single day.
I have
He's
a
very
client who
judgy.
I have a client who does Duolingo. I love it. But when I text, somehow it translates my texts into other languages and then sends it back to me.
Oh,
But I never know what language it is. And we don't know how to make it stop. It's very funny. Like we just delight in how ridiculous. It's the only person I text with that's phone does that. So I don't know.
wild.
But it's very funny. It's
That
very
is
funny.
funny.
Because I
Oh,
sometimes get a text and I'm like, okay, so now I got to go to Google Translate and type this in to see what the heck it says. It's pretty
it's like
funny.
Azerbaijani into English.
But I do think sometimes I wish there was a Google Translate for dogs.
Oh my gosh, it would be so good. It would be so good. There was an app at the time, it was free. I believe you have to pay for it now. But Lily Chin, I think, did the illustrations
Mhm.
for it, and it was called Doggy Decoder or Dog Decoder or something. And it was actually quite useful for my clients in the city back then. I haven't looked to see if it's still available, but it's a good little app. Um,
So I tend to do with parents and kiddos, um, Colleen Pilar's analog version. So years ago, I bought one of those dog a day calendars
oh
that
yes.
has different pictures, and we just make up stories and we make the faces the dogs make, and we make the sounds we would expect
Mhm.
the dog would make, like what mouth open panting sound or and then we make up a story that goes with the face. Like, does that dog look happy or unhappy wearing the ski hat? Um,
Mhm.
or why might that dog be making that face? And I think, especially with so many people on devices,
Mhm.
it helps even with facial recognition when
Oh yeah.
interacting with other people, because
Mhm.
I see kids who do not read body language in
Yeah.
other humans, much less in their poor sweet dog.
Yeah. And what's with the Colleen Pillar method there, like taking all those things. I remember when she came to speak to our dog training club a little over a decade ago, maybe a little more. She she was talking about how 4-year-olds are really good at learning or reading dog body language, as long as they haven't had an adult kind of gaslighting them into like that this dog is
Right.
happy. So I tested this. I asked the preschool, hey, can I come in and show some pictures of dogs? I'm like, does this dog look happy or sad? And they're like sad or angry or whatever. These kids were correct. And so later, like months later, I'm walking around the neighborhood and one of those preschoolers was out with his parents. And I've got my two dogs. I had a border collie and a greyhound at the time because I hated myself. And we had,
That's like, I mean, you could have added a pug.
might as well, why not at that point, right? So I was on my toes a lot of the time because they were so very different in their needs and personality. But so I'm walking down the street with these two dogs, and this kid is like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And like the mom goes, Oh, go say hi. That looks like a friendly dog. And the kid goes, No, that dog is angry. That's Miss Melissa. And she came into our class and she taught us about dogs. And I had never been so happy as an educator. Like having this kid tell his parents, No, what you are seeing and what you're telling me is wrong. And I know I am confident enough to tell you that. Like, amazing. Like that kid was incredible. And then I said, You're right. She's not very happy, but you can say hi to the Greyhound. And
Right.
like,
This one wants to say hi, but not
yeah,
that one.
but like the border collie really struggled with especially kids. But like our greyhound, because he's so angular and pointy and just awkward, like he was so stiff because he was a racing greyhound, but like he'd stand there and his tail would go up and he's like, I'm happy. Like
This is I'm muscle
essentially it was
bound.
like all this stiff and like but you could see in his face like I'm thrilled, but like the rest of him just looked scary and he was a big black greyhound with a limp, and so kids were terrified of him, but he wanted nothing more than to actually say hi to them. But they all wanted to go say hi to the border collie who looked like a fuzzy puppy, and she's like, no thank you, I
And
will see
she's like,
you.
yeah, not my thing.
Yep, if I had a middle finger you would see it. That would be that was her excuse for everything.
Right. Like, hi, I'm Mildred. Don't pet me.
Yeah. Before she died, if I got her a rocking chair and a shotgun, she would have been thrilled.
She had a little get off my lawn sign. She would have had a hair dryer pretending it was a speed gun for the school buses. Slow down.
Yes.
Ah.
Oh, I should have named her Karen.
So when should have named her Karen. To all the Karens,
No offense.
the opinions expressed by guests on the show are not necessarily the. And it's funny because I have like a bunch of friends who are named Karen, and every once in a while I just look at them
Like, sorry.
and they're like, stop thinking that. And like, it just is a thing. Are you a
Oh.
Scorpio?
Feel
You can
bad
do
for
it about any of the signs. I
oh,
have started. So actually, Melissa, you seem to be someone who would think this was funny too. On a lark, I started, if people knew the date of birth of their dog, looking
oh.
up what the signs are.
Oh no.
The Windhound is a Taurus.
Ooh.
He is definitely a Taurus. So it's been very funny. It makes me laugh. All right.
Oh, that's
So
good.
so when you're working with kids and dogs, what do you think the biggest challenge is for parents?
Yeah, I think parents are, I see two extremes really. One, they're kind of checked out and they're hoping everything's fine. Because like and as I yeah, exactly, cross yourself, hope for the best. But because there hasn't been a bite, it's fine. So the definition of fine is
It's
something
not
that
good.
it's not good. It's not fine or I wouldn't be in your living room. So
Right. Like
that's
if
one
right, if you came in and I said, "Oh, how are you, Melissa?" and you said, "I'm fine." I'd be like, "Glass of wine?
yeah,
Cake?
can I get a
What would
double?
jelly
Like,
beans? What do you need?
yeah,
Coffee? You want a
yeah,
nap?"
yeah. You need 10? Like it's need a puppy? I brought
There
six.
you
Um,
Ooh.
but I think people know, like going back to that gaslight thing, right? I think people in a lot of circumstances, not all, are they might be aware that something isn't going right, but they either don't have the language to articulate it's not going right in a particular way, or they're told by that guy at the dog park that, oh no, this is fine. This is just how dogs are. Just let them work it out. Just do this, just do that. And they're like, okay. So then they second guess themselves and go, oh
Yeah.
wait, I feel something's wrong. But this guy who seems like he's an expert is saying everything's fine. So I guess it's fine. And so they kind of talk themselves into something that's not feeling right, that it must be normal. And that level of gaslight exists on every plane of the dog owning, dog guardian spectrum. And the same even with our kids. Like with our kids, like my kid suffered from panic disorder and was unable to get into her middle school for 7 months. And we were being told by some people, oh, it's fine. You just have to like reinforce or getting close. It's like, no, no, no. You have not seen the degree of panic. For 80% of the kids out there, sure. If you can get to the front door, I'll give you a rubber duck. Like whatever is going to like make that kid be okay. But when you're in such a state of distress, reinforcement is not even on the table because
No.
they are so shot they can't cope. And having a kid who was able to articulate, I like, hey, do you want a milkshake? If you can get in that room, we'll give you a milkshake. She's like, I don't want a milkshake. Like I am barely holding on right now. Like, so it having a learner be able to articulate back to me very clearly, because she's been watching me do behavior consultation since she was an infant. Um, Watching her and going through like the 4Ds and stress triggers and all of these things and trying to write a behavior plan for as a dog behaviorist going for my kid and having her go, well, actually, the lights are too loud. It's like, wait, what? Like, so she could tell me some things that like I could never get. And it's completely changed how I look at dog behavior clients, like when I'm working with them. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Because we can ask more questions. And
Yes.
it's learning how to ask questions of a species that doesn't verbally tell
Mhm.
us the story, right? So
Exactly.
how do you ask a dog, is it glasses that are bothering you?
Right.
Is it spatial, right? I think Suzanne Clothier in particular has really grabbed a hold of, she actually has training games for humans um, that help people navigate how to pull the puzzle apart
Yeah.
with genuine curiosity
Curiosity. Yeah.
and without judgment, right? Um, it doesn't really matter if you're afraid of spiders, why you're
Mhm.
afraid of spiders. I could do spider math. I could say, okay, well, how much does the heaviest spider weigh?
Mhm.
And how much do you weigh? So empirically, is this spider genuinely a threat to you? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. We're
Nope.
afraid of all sorts of things.
Mhm.
And so the same stuff informs our dogs and our kids too.
Right.
I do think there's a ton more anxiety in the world
Yeah.
than I have seen before. For me, I will, because I'm old, I would say that it really, really started with September 11th. That's
Yep.
really when I saw a huge substantive change in behavior. It made me question, and sadly, I didn't get answers like from my grandmother about how long after Pearl Harbor did it take
Mm.
for our psyches to kind of get back to whatever we determined was normal. And I kind of got the impression it never did.
I don't think it did because if you
And
think of the
then,
50s and 60s,
then we have COVID, and then we
yeah,
have like, so there just seems to always be more.
yeah, without a break, without a release valve,
Yes.
without relief. And and what we try to do, we see it with our dogs, we see it with our kids. We try to control what we can control, and some people take that to the literal term. And some people are like, okay, this is the problem in front of me. I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to think with this. I'm going to try to work with the problem in front of me and see if I can not make this harder on myself, but maybe make it better for everyone. And so,
Well, and I don't know about you, a lot in dog training and behavior is counterintuitive,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
That the anxious dog, fewer decisions
Hmm.
and more structure they can lean into many times
Yeah.
and get further faster
Yes.
and more confidently, right?
Yeah.
Um, as a matter of fact, I had one of my dogs who passed away in December was funny. He had a life-threatening health scare about 5 years before he passed away, where he was
Oh,
in ICU without me.
oh no.
And so he came out of that experience going, I can do hard things. And all
Yay.
of a sudden he was like, I want to meet that dog and I want to meet that person. I was like, you don't. Like, I've known you your whole life. You don't want to meet that person. He's like, no, I really think I could do it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You can't. You don't want to. And I had to like let go of that. He had gained some confidence through a difficult,
Yeah.
scary situation. So likewise, I've seen kids, dogs, adults lose confidence over something that they thought they could do that went sideways for maybe a completely unrelated reason. So,
Right.
those super confident dog going for a walk, maybe hanging out with their handler while their child is at, so this happened to me, a confident dog that I had. He and I were hanging out and doing a little bit of like walking and training and stuff. He was new to our household while my daughter was at track practice. And out
Okay.
of the blue, the marching band came around the corner.
No, no.
That took months to fix, right?
Yeah.
Because it was just a wall of movement and sound that we didn't know was coming.
And dogs' sensitivity to sound, like they hear at 75 feet what we can hear at 20 feet.
Well,
So,
and they'd come around the back corner of the
yeah,
building, right? So there were
it's
walls that were
echoing.
pushing the sound the other direction. So it
Yeah.
just surprised both of
Yeah.
us.
I'm
Or
sure.
or having someone jog up behind you on a hiking path, right? You
Yeah.
don't hear them coming, they're behind you.
No, that
So
would make me jump. And I'm a fully
mhm,
functioning adult. Like I have a startle reflex that's about this big.
right, like so especially behavior people, like
Right.
explosions happen and we go,
Okay.
so that's what we're doing now. Okay. Um, here we go. Like
Yep.
we I joke that I'm like neurologically dead. Like
There's a t-shirt that you can have.
shiz
No
hits the
family time.
fan and I'm like, so that's what we're doing now. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and menopause too. Yay. I'll do it all on no sleep. So
Hands.
yeah, jazz hands, exactly. Like, yay. So I'm sensitive to the fact that parents are like completely overwhelmed. I'm
Mhm.
so glad that I did not parent during social media because the pressure is ridiculous,
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
concur.
people get judged no matter what they do.
Yes.
I find myself saying often to myself and to others that what other people think is not any of my business, right? Like we're
Yeah.
all taking our own path. We all know like a tiny smidgen of the story of the other person and the
Yeah.
situation, and we can't extrapolate meaning out of tiny little bits of information.
Correct.
And yet I think parents in particular find themselves building that skill, right? They're like trying to cover all of the bases with a really steep learning curve. And so we do start to extrapolate the story, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
Um, and and then add on social media and oy vey.
Yeah. It's
I understand the
real rough
people
out
who are
there.
like, I'm turning it off.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think as far as overwhelm of parents, like there's that gaslight part that we were talking about. And then there's also like the overwhelm of just a regular family dynamic. So sometimes I'll go into a house and mom is trying to do it all. Mom is like, so grandma's coming into the house, the boxer's jumping everywhere. There are two kids who are like, grandma's here. And then dad is standing there. And this isn't just at dad's. But I find in a lot of cases, mom is trying to do everything. And it's just easier if I do it, if I do it right and I do it fast, we can get this whole thing over instead of, hey, husband, could you take the dog out back while I receive your mother into our home? Let the kids go crazy for a minute, and then you can bring the dog back in. Instead of that, she's trying to hold back the dog, tell the kids to stop, bring in grandma, and the dad has been potentially punished for trying to help before because he's not doing it right. So he's quit helping. And then you see this family dynamic just getting more and more and more intense, and something's got to give. Um, and I think, especially as women, we tend to hold on to a lot more because we can handle it. We got this, we got this, we got this. And then we just break in many cases. And I think when you add a dog to the mix and you've got your kids, you've got your work, you've got your partner, you've got your marriage, you've got a house to take care of, you've got like all the things, you got to get kid 1 to birthday party, kid 2 to softball practice. You're basically like a walking calendar and chauffeur. The dog takes a back seat, often quite literally. And so you might not notice that you have to learn about dogs to keep everyone safe. But as long as there's not a bite, they're fine. So he's just a little jumpy, or he's just this, or he's just that. And so like it just kind of gets pushed back because that's not the immediate problem right now. I have to get dinner on the table in 15 minutes.
Right.
And so the amount of overwhelm that when that dog finally does snap, that dog has been living under that same amount of distress as well, and has been trying to say something for a while, but has not been heard because they're not the chaos in front of the parents right there. And it's not until that bite happens or an attempted bite occurs that everybody stops and is like, oh, bleep, now what? And then the dog becomes a priority, but now it's a reactive thing. Now we're all reacting to the situation instead of being proactive all along. And trying to teach people to be proactive about their pets, that has just not ever been part of our guys, part of our culture to be able to, like, unless you have an interest in animal behavior, you're not going to be proactive. Because when I was a kid, we just had dogs and they just ran around and everything was fine and everything was great.
Oh, I mean, yeah, when my parents bred and showed dogs while I was growing up, and if a dog growled, you heard mom or dad say, "What are you doing to the dog?"
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case anymore.
Nope. Nope.
Like,
oh, why don't you climb in the crate with the dog? It'll make a cute picture. Uh-huh.
oh, yeah, I'll
Mhm.
apoplectic.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll
Uh-huh.
lose my mind because
Yep.
I'm like, okay, no, 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 no. Like I have very few hard and fast rules. No kids
Yep.
in crates.
Yep.
I mean, not in the dog's crate.
Not in the dog's crate, right? And
I
there's
mean, I would be lying if when my brother was 5, there's a story. There was
I'm
a
watching
tornado,
your face.
there
You're
was a
like,
tornado coming,
okay.
and so my mother put my brother in the dog crate under the stairs in the basement
Okay.
while she got on her 3-speed and chased the other 3 children around the neighborhood so she could get us home. But she wanted my brother to be in the safest place she could, and he was not following instructions at 5.
So
So he was in a dog crate with a bike helmet on,
you did you did
under
the
the
best you can
stairs.
with the
It
tools you
was the
have.
safest place she could think to
Yeah.
stash him, right? So I mean, things happen, but Penny wasn't in there with him. It was just David. So, and I have impact crates, and I tell people all the time, if there's a tornado, I'm going to be in the impact crate because that
Yeah.
is the safest place to be.
Yes.
If you don't know what an impact crate is, it's not sponsoring the show, but feel free to look it up. Get them used. They're amazing. So um, yeah, like I think there's a lot of putting out fires.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a foster parent and an adoptive parent, I really tried to think through. I don't do my best when I'm under a lot of pressure.
I don't think
So
any of us are. Yeah.
by going, okay, here are the scenarios that happened today that made me want to pull my hair out and change what color my hair was. I need to think through what a plan's going to look like in the future.
Yes.
So like inside the cabinet, I had a list of things children can do when they didn't know what to do. I had a list of consequences. I had a list of chores and their value
Mm-hmm.
as far as like stealing my energy. I think one of the best things our therapists ever did was talked about, okay, this child is stealing your energy
Mm-hmm.
and you're not having them do the chores to punish them. They used up your energy that you would have used to mop the kitchen floor. And so they are buying it back by taking care of that for you because they were stealing your energy. And
I
that didn't
love
mean that it wasn't a child who like had an actual problem. It was just
that.
a child who was going to be argumentative and
Yeah.
see how high he or she could push my blood pressure that day.
Yep.
Because there's a hobby. So, and our dogs honestly do it too
Yeah,
sometimes,
for
right? That they're
sure.
like, I'm not touching that. And I'm like, do not. And they're like, I'm not, me? I'm not touching
Yep.
that. And you're like, stop. Right. So there is a little bit of that. Some of that behavior stuff is just naughty and expressive and funny and
Ish. And you,
personality and makes us nuts.
yeah,
So having sitting down and really going, okay, when the kids home from school are getting off the bus coming home from school, what does Greg need? What does
hmm
Melissa need? What does Cheryl need? And what do
yep,
I need? And
yep,
then how do I, and at that point I had 9 dogs. So it was, how do I navigate 9 dogs and 3 children needing 3 different sets of things from me all in the exact same moment? Then
right.
kind of build backwards from that.
Yeah,
So that, and there was trial and error. It took a little bit until I figured out, like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Kids get
yeah.
off the bus at 2:22. At 2 o'clock, my alarm goes off on my phone. All the dogs go outside. I poop scoop the yard. While they're doing that, I throw the ball for the only one who likes fetch. Right.
Yep.
Then half of their dinner is frozen in Kongs. And everybody, when they come in, go in their crate with half of their dinner frozen in Kongs.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And then I sit down and have a soda. Usually it was a Diet Coke.
Ah,
And that was, I could then like get the silly string ready
mm-hmm.
because Greg needed to run around the house 7 times and for me
Yep.
to like cheer him in some way.
Yay.
Cheryl already had a bubble bath upstairs ready to go. And Melissa needed to go to the punching bag.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I get that.
now,
Yeah.
by the time 3:15 came around, we were all sane again and
Yes.
we could do stuff together and it wasn't so taxing.
Yeah, because everybody's needs were met, everybody was managed, and you were biting off what you could chew in that moment instead of
Yeah.
everything at once,
Yes.
which is how most families operate.
And there were times that scrambled eggs and toast for dinner was just fine because I was
Yep.
worn slap out
Oh, yeah, we had the
or
Cool Whip container that was just filled with cereal and a lot of milk, and that dinner served. That's all we can do today.
right.
Yeah.
My childhood, one of the best things was ice cream for dinner. We had a dairy barn near us and
Oh,
would go to homemade ice cream and have ice cream for dinner.
I love that.
And you know what? None of us have diabetes. None of us are dying of heart disease. None of us are
Yeah.
terribly sick. And rarely were there arguments
Yeah, I'm sure.
when we went for ice cream. So if there was one thing, because we've been kind of all over the board today,
Yeah.
if there was one thing, okay, let's do this. One thing that you'd like parents to try to avoid, one
Okay.
thing you'd like to parents to, so one thing to stop doing quite so much,
Okay.
one thing to do more of, and then
Okay.
one pearl of wisdom. What would those 3 things be?
Ooh, I love this. So one thing I would hope people could stop doing is stop feeling so bad about not doing everything exactly right. Do the best you can with the tools you have, and it's enough. And it's okay. And if something doesn't feel right, clock it. And then maybe check with somebody who can give you an answer if you're right or if you're overreacting. Like, but I think there's a reason when our spidey senses go off. And if somebody's trying to, and I keep using the word gaslight, but it's such a good one, whether it's intentional or not, like, oh, everything's fine, and you're not feeling it's fine, there's disconnect there, and listen to that disconnect and then make a plan appropriately. So that's that part. The second question was, what's one thing that people should do more of? And I think, honestly, like most of the work that I've done, when I first, like, I had a sled dog team as a kid, I ended up with a border collie who did competitive frisbee, like all of these cool things. But of all of the things that I've ever done, scent work has been the most impactful because you can do it with a handful of kibble in a side yard and hawk it and say, find it. Like, it is something that the dog is perceiving and doing anyway. It is something that children can do. Our dog is an invasive species detection dog. My daughter put him on that odor. My 11-year-old kid got him on the odor. So now he can go find the invasive spotted lanternfly eggs. She had been doing scent work with him since she was 3 years old. And he had just come to us. That was the first thing they did together, was that we would hold him back, a restrained recall situation, because we didn't think he knew stay. And she would take his cookie and put it down and go, Captain, find it. And then he would go. And so like they built their relationship from the jump, and it was never tug. It was never something that was unfair. And these two are thick as thieves. Like, they have had each other through COVID, through 7 months of panic attacks, through a move across state lines. They have always had each other. And it's going to be devastating when he is no longer with us, because that's all she's ever known. And he's 12 and he's doing great. So we're going to keep that train going, and he's going to live until he's 30.
I told my cat that yesterday, like that he has to live till he's 30.
He has to, and he will. He will. And the last one was a reminder. The last
Pearl of wisdom.
Pearl of wisdom. I would say this one's harder.
Well, I mean, you're a mama, right?
Yeah.
So what's one thing you learned that you're like,
yeah.
ooh, glad somebody shared that with me?
Yeah. And I truly think it's like just learning body language. And actually, here it is. Just because a dog is giving you one signal that everything's fine, look at the whole dog.
Right.
And if they're wagging their tail, but their face is really stiff, or if it's vice versa, and the dog doesn't have any physical, like the greyhound, like we eventually learned him and he was stiff and awkward, and that we weren't going to fix that. But there are still tells. Yes, there were still tells. And even as stiff as he was, he would kind of wiggle a little. It looked so painful and awkward, but he would kind of wiggle, and his knees were always bouncy. And unless they have arthritis, bouncy legs, bouncy elbows is a really, really good sign that things are going well.
Right.
If you're seeing stiffness and they don't have arthritis, look at the whole dog, and then maybe take the pressure off. If you're seeing conflicted body language, because we give it all the time, right? As humans, we give conflicted body language all the time.
Right. We're all like, I'm fine, when really I've had to pee for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Really
or like
bad.
your heart's going like this because you're anxious, and like you're like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm always twitchy like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yes, I was on Face Space over the weekend, and somebody was like, what's one thing you wish dog owners would do? And I was like, listen, like watch and listen. Because you'll learn a lot more watching your dog than you will telling them what to do or how to feel or any of the things, right? Whether it's between species, like we have a sighthound getting used to living with a very confident cat who thinks he's a dog. And
we have one too.
and we call him the cat dog, and helping them navigate, because the sighthound doesn't signal the same way that our other dogs signal.
Nope.
And not at all. And the cat's used to the other dogs. He's not sure about this one because this one's a little weird. And then the sighthound started out afraid of the cat, and now he really likes him.
Oh.
So he's playing, and the cat's always played with other dogs. But again, it's different body language because the shape is completely different.
The shape is different. The mechanics are different. The facial structure. I mean, they have such long noses that like
the beak.
It's so weird.
Yeah. And the cat's like, why are you sniffing me like that? And Dino's nose is like out there. So Dino can clearly jump any of the gates in the house. That has never been a thing in the cat's life. So he's like, what? And I'm like, Dino, do not go over the gate. And to his credit, he stays on the side he's supposed to be on, even though he can go over the gate, right? I
thought you were going to say something very different.
He just thinks about going over the gate very loudly.
There you go.
And we're enjoying the adventure of a new brain.
Yeah. And they're such good dogs. Sight hounds. I would
They're
hope
so
that
weird.
everybody has some interactions with a sight hound. I wouldn't ever recommend anybody get a dog of a certain breeder type, but just to have interactions with sight hounds is very informative and they're so goofy.
It is a very prehistoric brain.
Yes.
And yeah, it was funny. One of my customers is a vet who worked specifically with racing greyhound rescue and like
Oh,
they
wow.
had big facilities, and she worked with a lot of the dogs, and then of course had some of her own because they're like potato chips. You have to have more than one.
Right.
And she was like, he loves you so much. And I'm like, he's standing here. And she's like, right. She's
Yep.
like, that's how it starts.
It's affection.
He's near you.
Mhm.
That's affiliative. I was like, oh no, what have I done? Yeah, no, he's
Comparing that to
great.
a
I love
golden
him.
retriever who's just like in your lap and all gooey and like you could see in their face, I love you, the heart eyes. I
Yeah,
miss.
like I had my pot cake that passed away had like heart-shaped champagne bubbles that came off of
Yes.
him when you were his people. And he just wanted to really be inside you. Like he
Yes.
wanted to be like a papoose.
Yes.
And this dog is like, what's up?
Yep. So, oh my God, he's committed his life to me.
Exactly. Like I'm engaged. Yeah, right. Because he looked at me. So, but we're learning lots of things. And actually, he's getting more and more affectionate as time goes on. We've only had him since January, like it's new.
Oh,
So, but
he's
well,
so
I feel
lucky
like
though.
this was like a preamble to a real interview that we apparently will schedule.
I
Um,
agree. This
but
was so much
I
fun.
loved having you here
Great.
and got to learn cool things too. Like don't get sled dogs.
Don't.
Um,
Don't do
ever,
it. Don't
ever.
do it. Especially not in Georgia. It wouldn't be very fun.
They'd be very orange.
Very.
So thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll have you back, absolutely. And for our listeners, if you've enjoyed this stream of consciousness, we sometimes do this because some dog trainers are just really fun and really interesting. And we learn through the parables and the stories and the goofiness that is um, family dog trainers. I think without humor, it's easy for things to get pretty hard. Uh,
Yeah.
and so most of us have a good sense of humor and try to save worry for things that are genuinely significant problems. So I want to thank Melissa for being here today and for you to take time out of your busy day to join us. And we'll see you next time on the Your Family Dog podcast. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your precious day with us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, rate, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at yourfamilydogpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.